Well, hello and welcome to the Daily Scripture Podcast. My name is Jerome Lavelle, and I hope that you're having a wonderful day today. Today we will be looking at 1 Kings 21, verses 1 through 16. Naboth the Jezreelite had a vineyard in Jezreel, next to the palace of Ahab, king of Samaria. Ahab said to Naboth, "Give me your vineyard to be my vegetable garden, since it is close by next to my house. I will give you a better vineyard in exchange, or if you prefer, I will give you its value in money." Naboth answered him, "The Lord forbid that I should give you my ancestral heritage." Ahab went home disturbed and angry at the answer Naboth the Jezreelite had made to him. "I will not give you my ancestral heritage." Lying down on his bed, he turned away from food and would not eat. His wife Jezebel came to him and said to him, "Why are you so angry that you will not eat?" He answered her, "Because I spoke to Naboth the Jezreelite and said to him, 'Sell me your vineyard, or if you prefer, I will give you a vineyard in exchange.' But he refused to let me have his vineyard." His wife Jezebel said to him, "A fine ruler over Israel you are indeed. Get up, eat and be cheerful. I will obtain the vineyard of Naboth the Jezreelite for you." So she wrote letters in Ahab's name, and having sealed them with his seal, sent them to the elders and the nobles who lived in the same city with Naboth. This is what she wrote in the letters: "Proclaim a fast and set Naboth at the head of the people. Next, get 2 scoundrels to face him and accuse him of having cursed God and king. Then take him out and stone him to death." His fellow citizens, the elders and the nobles who dwelt in the city, did as Jezebel had ordered them in writing, through the letters she had sent them. They proclaimed a fast and placed Naboth at the head of the people. 2 scoundrels came in and confronted him with the accusation, "Naboth has cursed God and king." And they led him out of the city and stoned him to death. Then they sent the information to Jezebel that Naboth had been stoned to death. When Jezebel learned that Naboth had been stoned to death, she said to Ahab, "Go on, take possession of the vineyard of Naboth the Jezreelite, that he refused to sell you, because Naboth is not alive, but dead." On hearing that Naboth was dead, Ahab started off on his way down to the vineyard of Naboth the Jezreelite to take possession of it. Today in the first book of Kings, chapter 21, verses 1 through 16, we hear the story of how King Ahab obtained the vineyard of Naboth the Jezreelite. In this story, Ahab desired to obtain Naboth's vineyard, this land that abutted Ahab's property, and he wanted to build a vegetable garden there by his house. Now, on the surface, this seems to be a reasonable request, and he approached Naboth with at least a minimally fair offer, it seems to me. He says, "I will pay you what it's worth, the property value, or we might say today the fair market value, or I will give you in exchange one of my vineyards that are of greater value than yours." Certainly not an offensive offer. On the contrary, to me, it demonstrated great respect on the part of King Ahab toward Naboth. Now, it appears that Ahab may not have known of Naboth's emotional connection to this land, being part of his ancestral heritage. In other words, this vineyard perhaps had been in Naboth's family for many generations, and despite the king's fair offer, he was not willing or ready or emotionally prepared to accept the deal, so he declined. So this part of the story to me seems routine and almost businesslike. From a practical perspective, it was a prospective real estate transaction where in the end, Terms that satisfy both parties could not be reached, so the business deal did not go forward. But as is often the case, the story does not end there. The rational, logical business part of the story ends, and the crazy human emotional part takes over. So what happens? Well, we've got the following things. King Ahab is upset about the deal and not going through, so he throws a fit and refuses to eat. His wife Jezebel finds out about this and mocks him for his approach, saying to him, "A fine ruler over Israel you are indeed." I can almost hear her, perhaps with even the finger wagging, as she scorns and mocks him. Then Jezebel basically says, "Sit down, I'll take care of it," to which she then arranges for this false blasphemy charge to be made, this false treachery charge to be made against the king. And from that, plans are made and confirmed and executed against Naboth, and he is thus put to death by stoning. Then, after Naboth's death by stoning, King Ahab gleefully takes possession of the vineyard that he wanted so bad. A man's life for a vegetable garden. In reflecting on this story, there are many things that one could focus on. I'm sure you have some impressions yourself. It is, in a lot of ways, a sad story that demonstrates the worst of human nature. I see coveting in King Ahab's desire to obtain the vineyard. I see petulance in his refusal to eat. I see chicanery by Jezebel in obtaining the land in shameful ways. I see deceit on the part of the elders and nobles who hosted and executed this farce trial. I see mendacity, the outright lying on the part of the fake witnesses, accurately called scoundrels in the text today. And so I see coveting, petulance, chicanery, deceit, mendacity, all of which demonstrate the means that some will go to achieve their ends. To me, it demonstrates also a blindness to scale and proportion. Ahab sought a plot of land adjacent to his house for a vegetable garden. A vegetable garden. A man's life for a vegetable garden. This story has me reflecting on priorities and scale in my life. It has me thinking about what I do sometimes to achieve ends that I think are justified. It has me thinking about human frailty and cruelness and blindness and selfishness. It has me thinking about how I can be a better person. Today in 1 Kings 21, Naboth the Jezreelite loses his life and ancestral heritage for a vegetable garden. This story of Naboth and his vineyard has me thinking about a lot of ways that I can be a better person today and tomorrow. Thank you for joining the Daily Scripture Podcast. My name is Jerome Lavelle, and remember, our word of the day is, "Oh, the ways we deceive to achieve." Until next time, be well and be blessed.